Hey there, mathematicians. It's Miss Johnson, and today we're going to be looking at subtracting integers. You've been subtracting integers probably since first grade. Started with ones like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 positives. And let's just say we want to take away 3 positives. So you just take this, and we are just going to take them away. And we're left with 1, 2, 3, 4 positives. Do you think the same thing will work? You think it'll work the same way if we do negatives? Let's try it. Let's say if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives. Let me move these down. 5 negatives, and we want to take away 2 negatives. Well, do we have 2 negatives to take away? Yeah, we do, right here. 2 negatives, we can just scooch them all out the way, and what do we have left? Yeah, 3 negatives left. So it looks like subtraction works the same. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to tell you this. So you see this right here? Sometimes this problem is written this way with those parentheses there. So these parentheses, they are just saying, hey guys, I want to make sure that you know that's a negative 2. That's all the parentheses are saying. Okay, some kids get confused because parentheses are used in order of operations to signify what you do first. They're also used to denote multiplication, right? So, like if it would look like this, then that would mean multiply. So that would mean negative 5 times negative 2 because the number and the parentheses are right next to each other, right? But this one, because it has the subtraction sign right there, this means negative 5 minus negative 2, and it's just, these parentheses are just separating the negative 2, so to make sure that you know it's a negative 2. Okay, so I just wanted to explain that because a lot of times when you have subtracting a negative, that's the way that they show it. I just want to make sure you didn't get confused with that. Okay? All right, so it looks like the subtraction's like basically the same as what you learned in first grade, right? Well, there are some differences. So let's take a look at what some of the differences look like, okay? So let's say that we have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 positives. And we want to take away 2 negatives. Now, some kids want to say, oh, just take these away like that. But there's a problem with that. Do you see what the problem is? Does that match a negative 2? Is that 2 negatives? Nope, it's not 2 negatives. So we can't just do that. What could we do? We need to take away 2 negatives. Is there anything that we could add to this? Keep the value 6. Still have 6. But have some negatives in there. Okay, so some kids say, well, just put 2 negatives. But remember what happens if we just put negatives, right? This is really 6 plus negative 2. We would put these together like this, right? And those would become 0. That would be an addition problem. So that's definitely not correct, okay? That is not the way to do it. Throw those negatives away. What else could we add? We can't just add 2 negatives because that would be addition. But we could add these. Do you remember what those are called? They're called 0 pairs. So we've added a positive and a negative. Well, 2 positives and 2 negatives. But we haven't added value to what we have here because this is 6. This is 0, and 0 plus anything is just that value. So we haven't added any value to our 6. It's still 6, but now we have some negatives that we can take away, right? So let's separate these into positives and negatives, right? So now I can take the negatives and I can take them away. So what do we have left? So we have 6 here and 2 more will make 8. So 6 take away -2 is 8. I know it seems confusing, right? Don't worry, we'll practice. You'll get it. All right, let's try another one with some negatives. Okay, so let's say that we have 4 negatives. And I want to take away 3 positives. So again, we don't have any positives. So what do we add? To get some positives, but still keep 4 negatives. Yeah, we're going to add 3 zeros. I'm going to separate those 3 zeros, right? This is, let's just make sure we understand, right? This is -4 plus 0. That's still -4. So this value, even though we have more counters than just 4 negatives, the value of that is still -4, right? Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's separate our 0 pairs. And now I have 3 positives that we can take away. So there's our 3 positives. Let's just take them away. And then we're left with 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 negatives that we started with. And then 5, 6, 7 when we add the 3 negatives that we had left. So 4 negatives and 3 negatives gives us 7 negatives. Okay. All right, let's try another one. Let's try 3 negatives. And this time, let's take away 5 negatives. Well, we could add 5 zeros, right? But do we need 5 zeros? I mean, we already have 3 negatives, right? So do we need the 5 zeros? How many more zeros would we need to get to 5 negatives since we already have 3? Yeah, we would just need 2 more. Okay, so we would just need these 2. Whoops. We would just need these 2 to give us 5 negatives, right? 1. This would give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives. So we would just need, that. So, I think I'm going to move this up like this. And so we would take away our 5 negatives. And then what are we left with? We are just left with 1, 2 positives. Right? These right here, these are just those zeros, right? That we thought we could have added them to get to the 5 negatives, but we didn't really need all of them, right? So it's still just 0. So I can just take those and put them in the trash. All right, so subtracting integers is a little different. It takes a little bit of different thought process, right? It can get confusing. So I want to show us a way that kind of like a procedure that will make it simpler for you when you're looking at it. You don't have the counters, okay? All right, and so we're going to call this procedure keep change, flip. We're going to call it keep, change, flip. Okay, so so you're in your notebook, right? You're taking notes. So you're subtracting integers. And today, don't forget to put the date. So we're going to write a K. And write the K big. And then keep. Change. I said the wrong thing. I'm going to do keep, change, switch. Keep, change, switch. So we're going to keep the first value. Then we're going to change the subtraction sign to add. And then you're going to switch the second value. Try to make that a little bit neater. The second value to the opposite. Another way that it's sometimes said is that you are going to add the opposite. You're going to add the opposite. Okay, so let's connect that to what we already learned just a second ago when we looked at the integer tiles, okay? So one of the questions that we did is we did 6 minus negative 2. We did 6 minus negative 2. Okay, so 6 minus negative 2. So we add 6 positives. We added 2 0 pairs. And then we took away the 2 negatives. We took the 2 negatives away. That left us with, and look at what we really have here, right? We have 6. What we're really doing is we have 6, and then we have this, right? We have that, which is the 2 positives. So what we're really doing is saying 6 plus 2 is 8. Okay, so if we come over here, we're going to keep, change, switch. We're going to keep the 6. We're going to change that subtraction sign. I'm just going to rewrite it. We're going to change the subtraction sign to a plus sign. And then so like over here, right, we added the 2 zeros, right? And then we took away the 2 negatives. So what we really added was the 2 positives. So we need to change this negative to a what? To a positive. So this is like a little shortcut to help us figure out the answer without having to draw all of the pictures and stuff, right? So that's keep, change, switch. So we keep the first value, we change the subtract to add, and then we take the opposite of the second value. So the negative 2 becomes a positive 2. And then we all know what 6 plus 2 is. 6 plus 2 is 8. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and write example 1 right there. And then we'll do example 2. All right, so the next one that we did is we did -4 minus 3. All right, so we had our 4 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4. We wanted to take away our 3 negatives, but we didn't have 3 negatives, so we had to add 3 zeros. Now we could take away our 3 positives. And that left us with 7 negatives. All right, so let's look at it with our, over here, we're going to do keep, change, switch. So we kept the -4, right? The -4 over here didn't change. And then I'm just going to rewrite this, -4 minus 3. And then we added the 3 zeros. And so after we took away the 3 positives, right, what we really added together was -4 plus -3. So we have to change this +3 to a -3. So we keep the -4, we change the subtract to add, and the +3 becomes a -3. Keep, change, switch. And then 4 negatives and 3 negatives gives us 7 negatives. All right, let's do another example. We had the other example that we did was, so we'll do example 3. So we had -3 minus -5. Just going to put that in parentheses. Remember, that's just saying that that's a -5. All right, so we had our 3 negatives. 1, 2, 3. We needed to take away 5 negatives. So for illustration purposes here, I'm going to add 5 zeros. So that still equals -3, right? And then we can take away 5 negatives. Whoops, sorry about that. So take away 5 negatives. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take those 5 negatives away. I notice that these will still be 0. So what's left is 2 positives. Okay, so let's do our keep, change, switch over here. Keep, change, switch. So we have -3. We change our subtraction to. I'm just going to rewrite it. You should do that too. You should rewrite it underneath. So we got our subtraction. We're going to change our subtraction to addition. And our -5 is going to become a +5. So keep, change, switch. Notice, right, that +5, that was right here, right? That was our +5. So 3 negatives plus 5 positives gives us 2 positives. They're left right there. 2 positives right here. Okay. So that's the procedure. That's what you do. You keep the first value, change the subtraction sign to addition, and then switch the second value to the opposite. Another way we can call it is we add the opposite. I know it might seem a little confusing, but if you just practice it, then you'll get good at it. So basically, when you change the subtraction sign to the addition sign, you then have to follow the addition rules. And you've been practicing the add rules for adding integers for a while. Okay, so by changing the subtraction sign to an addition sign, you're just making it something that you already know how to do. Okay, so it kind of makes it like doing something you already know. You just have to do this step, this keep, change, switch step first. You do that step, then you follow the add rules. Okay, so good luck to you. Keep practicing. All that practice is going to pay off because you are going to do well in math. All right. Y'all have a good day.